anything work right today? Is anything going to go correctly?
It's going to start now. Now it's starting.
Yeah, now we'll start. What's up, everybody? Hey, Dave, good to see you. This is our second attempt at this. Me and Ray sat here and talked for about 5 minutes when I forgot to hit the go live button. But anyway, how's everybody doing today? Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching the video. Dave, I had an awesome time doing the video about Pete with you. Sorry if I'm rushing through this, but I just said it all a minute ago. So, how are you doing today, Ray?
I'm fantastic.
Still?
As far as I can tell, I'm better the second time.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming and talking to me. You run the channel Sober Without God, and your channel hasn't been around for very long, but you've been, I mean, it looks to me like you've been growing pretty steadily, and you've got a little audience over there, and things are moving along, and I'm glad to see it. You having fun making videos?
I am, and I should have said the first time, but I'll say it this time. But you were the one who inspired me to start my own channel, and I started watching your videos, and I was like, man, if this hillbilly out here in Eastern Kentucky can do it, then I'm sure I can do it too out here in Western Kentucky. So I did, and I felt like I thought it was going to be more for therapeutic reasons, and I started off with, I don't know, 20 viewers. I'm up to like 130 subscribers now, which I'm pretty proud of. And I wanted to do it just talking about my sobriety, but now I've branched out. On Mondays I talk about my sobriety, and for people who are struggling with, and I deal with alcohol-free issues. And then on Thursdays I talk about my deconstruction, and usually they have the same kind of topic. And then on Saturdays I've added just some stupid, random, dumb book review, and that's been fun for me. So just, nothing religious, nothing alcohol-free, just fun.
I got some excellent books I can recommend for you.
Yeah.
I do a lot of, I don't know if you've noticed, but like we've done 3 or 4 book giveaways here. And the reason I do that is because I'm just really into the amount of information that these activists has put out there in their books. Dave Warnock's book, I've got a signed copy of it, Childish Things, and it's a great book. I mean, and Aaron Ra's book is one of my favorite books ever, the Foundational Falsehoods of Creationism. And then I've had a couple people send me their books, authors from different places. I just had Mark Aislip on the other day. Journey to Reason is the name of his book, and it is really, really good. I mean, it's up there with those others. He's not very well known, but I imagine his book is going to do really well. It's a very interesting book, especially for the deconstruction stuff. He goes through a lot of his life events and stuff and talks about, and it's real short chapters where he talks about later on him looking back at these events and saying, that's the moment that I realized that morality wasn't from God, that it was something within me, and it's just it's a really good book, but and many more. I can recommend a lot of books, but I've read books just to have conversations on Twitter. just to talk about it with some apologist, and then spend 5 minutes of them, bastardizing philosophy to turn around and say, hell with it, and forget it. But books about morality and stuff like that. But and a lot of studies too. Scientific studies, that's a good one, like the Morality Lab. You could look at that and break down what they did in that. It's really awesome. But anyhow, you do you. It seems like you're doing good.
No, not at all. No, it's funny. I work around high school students all day, and they will see you, or even adults will see you reading a book, and typically the reaction is, you're reading a book. These people find it hard to fathom people still read books.
Yeah. Not everybody can afford a Kindle.
That's right. Or a lot of people, kids just can't keep an attention span long enough to read a chapter of a book, Yeah. Which I highly recommend. Have a book by your bedside and just read 10 pages a day, And
so when I did my first bit in jail, I did 18 months, and I read 200 books in that 18 months. And I started out, I really liked like the Stephen King Dark Tower series, and even the Harry Potter books. I liked a lot of fantasy stuff, the Vampire Diaries, Patricia Cornwell, anything pretty much. Anne Rice, Dean Koontz. I mean, I liked a lot of that fantasy stuff. And then as I went along, eventually I picked up a couple of nonfiction books. And when I started reading nonfiction, I fell in love with it. Like just the amazing stories and stuff that people tell that are real, you know?
Mhm.
And my a couple of those books actually had a big impact on my life and getting sober and all that. So yeah, Spiritual Solution to Every Problem was it's actually a book that a nun gave me, and it promotes Christianity a little bit, but it's actually one of the books that first made me think, hey, there's all these religions around the world that have all these different ideas, and they can't all be right. Like, and why is it this one's right and those are wrong? And it really got me thinking, you know. And so I have a strange relationship with books, but the most recent nonfiction thing I was reading, as far as outside uh, activism and religion, was um, something about the long train ride or something. It's about one of the first serial killers in America, and he started killing people here in Kentucky and West Virginia, and worked his way across the country. And it's something I'll have to find it. It's right here beside me. I'll just have to dig it out. But anyway, does your guest own a fuel company? It says.
No.
I don't know. Hey, John. Hey, PC. Hey, Dave. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I know this is a weird day for me to stream, but I wanted to talk to Ray. Ray, I had known that you took some inspiration from me, and that means a lot to me, because one of my big things that I've talked about a lot is that I can come and do this. And if I can do it, anybody can use their voice and speak up and talk about the things that matter to them. And you may find that it matters to a lot of other people too, you know? And so it makes me really happy that you're out there doing that, especially with your history and, you know, the things we have in common to do with addiction and things like that. So I think it's really awesome. And that's why I wanted to check in on you and just see how things are going and talk to you a little bit and try and stay in touch with you, you know. I love all your up license plate back there too, by the way.
Yeah, I better go call a license plate. Yeah. No, I'm finding too that people are responding to different things. Like, I'll get people who join the channel for the alcohol-free stuff, and some people join for the deconstruction stuff, and some people stick around for both, and then some people watch all of it. So it's, you know, there's something out there for everybody.
I've had people tell me they just listen because they like my voice, my Kentucky accent and stuff. So whatever, you know. I don't know. I've been all over the place with it. I'm a very emotionally unstable person, and so I'll go from like incredibly serious stuff to just messing around, goofing off, and having a good time to talking about, you know, like whatever. And I'm actually working on probably changing the name of the channel to the Kentucky Skeptic Society, and branching out into some other pseudoscience stuff and things. Oh, it's Pinworm. I haven't seen Pinworm in a long time. How you doing, Pinworm? But I usually see Barnaby, but not Pinworm. But today, my son, his name is Noah, of all things, and today is his birthday. So I've been running around back and forth. I turned 6 today, so it's been a busy day for me. And but you know, it's awesome seeing him grow up and stuff. And that's one of the things that keeps me, you know, focused on sobriety and doing what I can to make his life better than the one that I have.
There's nothing like having kids to keep you focused on your sobriety. My youngest just got engaged.
Awesome.
So, yeah, and it's,
well, I've got 18.
Oh, well, there you go. Hopefully your youngest just didn't get engaged.
No. He's My 18-year-old just graduated with honors and is going to school. Looks like computer science, the same thing I majored in, and we haven't had a relationship in a long time because I was on drugs when his mother and I split up, and so his memories of me aren't good, and she didn't want to let me see him, and you know that was probably for the best for some time, but you know, so I haven't actually talked to him since he was like 9 or 10, but um, it's I've still watched him grow up, you know, through pictures and family and stuff like that, and I'm proud of everything he's done and stuff, and it's awesome to see that he's doing well and stuff. But we have like he has no desire to have anything to do with me at all, which I get it, you know, like it's unfortunate, and if I can repair that or something in the future, I will. But you know, I'm not going to try and force anything or anything like that. If he wants to reach out to me and talk to me, I'm sure he will. But that's you know, one of the many things that we as former or well as drug addicts, you know, you got to deal with some of the guilt and the consequences of your actions from before. It doesn't, just because you got off drugs doesn't mean all that stuff ends, right? I mean, you got to live with it from then on, and that can be tough from then on.
It affected a lot of people, you know, and
yeah, it's
you know, you got to work through. You can only work through you can make you better, but sometimes it takes people a long time to trust you again after you come out.
Yeah, it's what do you do? I mean, like you want so bad to go and undo those things, but at the same time, like for a lot of people, for me personally anyway, it was my ability to cope with things that got me in that mess to begin with. Excuse me. The poor coping skills and stuff is what led me down that road. Well, it's what it was the thing that triggered me always to go into the worst parts of my addiction and stuff, is whenever I was having trouble coping with life and things. Like I do good now. Like right now, my whole life is completely falling apart around me, and you wouldn't know it. It's okay. Everything's fine. I'm being dramatic. But I really love to see, even if it had nothing to do with me, you know, I love to see that you not only manage to overcome the active part of your addiction, but to then take that and use it as something to help others and build yourself up. You know, that's a big thing, and it's not easy to do. And so I've got a lot of respect for anybody that makes it to that point. I think it's hard to do. I mean, you know, you don't ever not become a drug addict. You just learn how to manage yourself and not go down that road. You know how to react better and how to deal with those things that trigger you. And triggers was always a weird thing for me going through recovery. But we don't have to go through the whole recovery thing again. We've done that. Not that I don't care to. I mean, I could sit and talk with you every day about that stuff, and I'm sure you and I could sit and tell stories and swap back and forth and probably have a whole channel where we did nothing but that, and it would be something new every week, you know?
Well, but you brought up a good point. I mean, like you're talking about having a bad day or even if you have a bad week. I mean, what we did was we self-medicated, you know, and we couldn't cope and we couldn't do it. And so we turned to something that we thought would suppress it, and it did for a while. And it didn't make us better; it made us worse. But it made those problems in our brain go away. It actually didn't make the problems go away at all. The problems are still there when we got out of it. You know, when we finally spun out of it and said, "I'm sick of this shit."
Right. It just makes it to where you don't care about dealing with them. Yeah. Right. Yeah, you know. you're worried about paying that light bill, and for me it was dope. So I was like, I can go get a shot of dope. Fuck that light bill, like,
That's right.
The lights may be off, but I'll be high.
Yeah.
So it's and
But you're a healthier person. But you're a healthier person when you come on the side of it, and then you're like, okay, now I have to really deal with who I am, and now I have to be an adult, and I have to deal with the trauma and my depression and my anxiety and all these things in a different way. Because this week, I mean, if you're having a bad week, I mean, if you turn straight to drugs or alcohol or dope or whatever you want to do, then it's not going to make it better. Those problems are still going to be there.
No, next week's going to be worse. Which is really how it works, though, right? I mean, you go around burning bridges and pissing people off and destroying every relationship in your life. And it's kind of ironic because you're doing that in order to try and, at least from your point of view, make it to where those things aren't so bad. You're trying to self-medicate and fix those things, but really you're doing the opposite and just destroying everything as you go. And it's not until you can get away from a minute and get a clear head and look back at it and say, oh, damn, I really didn't do what I should have done here. And you want to fix it. But if you're not, for me, if it wasn't for the fact that I was getting help with it, I would have looked at that and it would have just caused me to go down the same road again, because I would have been overwhelmed by the feelings of it and just said, fuck it, like I've done ruined it all. I might as well just go ahead and keep doing what I'm doing because it's never going to get any better. And for years I thought, one day that's how it's going to end. They're just going to find me somewhere. That's how it's going to. And I had accepted that and was fine with it. And then, my, like I said, I didn't have a relationship with my oldest son, and that was always something that played on me too. But then whenever my next kid was born, it was really a wake-up call for me. I was on the run, actually, and we went out of state to another hospital and was like hiding out for my kid to be born. And, that's how my kid was brought into the world. So at some point I looked at that and I was like, this is just, it's too much. And it's, I can't continue to live this way. I just can't do it. I don't want to do it. And it just happened to be that even though I had my sister, who I still don't really have a relationship with to this day, because I stole all of her shit while she was at work at one day and went and pawned it, and to get drugs, of course. And me and her didn't have a relationship, but it just happened to be right around that same time. She became a physician's assistant at the time, and said, hey, if you'll come down here and go to this Suboxone clinic, I'll pay for it for now anyway. I'll get you started and stuff. And I was like, hell yeah, I can sell that Suboxone and make some money. And but that, it ended up working because I had to take it too to not be sick. So it ended up working out. And then after a little while into that, I started getting on the right track and stuff. And it's a weird thing. I actually considered, because I want to write a book about my experiences and stuff. And I thought about doing it on the channel first, is having like one day a week, do like a story time thing and just tell one story from my past. And then after I do those, take and compile them together into a book that talks about the whole story of what happened, which I've talked a lot about that on here before anyway, but really breaking it down into short stories for everybody, which would end up being the chapters in the book. I think that would be, I would like it, and it would be therapeutic for me, whether anybody else wants to read it or not. So I may do that. I'm not sure, but
you should do it. I wrote a book. You could do it.
Yeah. Yeah. The few times I've had people like proofread my notes or like debate notes or something, they come back and tell me, they're like, you need to work on your grammar and stuff. So I may end up having to write it and then have somebody rewrite it. But
they just don't speak Kentucky. That's all.
Yeah, I write in redneck too. So
you're the authentic.
How about that guy on the run in Kentucky?
I see someone said something to me in my sober chat group about it. I hadn't heard about it. What is going on?
down in London, Kentucky, Laurel County, which is it's about 2.5 hours south of me. Pretty much straight south. It's well, it's south and to the west. It's south of Louisville is where it's at.
Right.
And he apparently got up in a little, sniper's nest off the highway there, and he had bought an AR-15 and 2,000 rounds of ammunition that day, and started shooting at cars out on the highway and shot 12 cars. I think he hit 5 people. He didn't kill anyone, but they've been hunting him for days and can't find him. He's somewhere in the woods there, the big national forest. And they're trying to flush him out, and they haven't even come close to find. They don't even know that he's still there, but they think he is. They've got the state police, the feds, everybody's down there looking for him.
Is that Daniel Boone, State Forest?
No, it's hold on, I'll look it up because it'll bother me if I don't.
By the way, for anybody watching, we have many beautiful state parks. I'm right close to.
Oh, it is Daniel Boone. You're
is
right.
It?
Yeah.
Daniel Boone would be ashamed.
Yeah. Dave said Bigfoot will point him out.
Yeah. Bigfoot might eat him.
Yeah, but so yeah, man, like I think what you said about looking at me and saying, "Hey, this guy's doing it. I can start a channel and talk about this stuff." And I mean, obviously, you had something you wanted to share with other people when you did it, but that's kind of my thing too, because whenever I first started watching atheist content on YouTube, I didn't. And it wasn't up until I started my channel that I was in the chat or anything. I'd never talked to anybody. I didn't even know there was like a community thing. I thought everybody just made stuff and it got watched or it didn't. And I remember I was watching like Aaron Raw and Matt Dillahunty all the time. Those, of course, are 2 of everybody's favorites. But then I discovered Atheist Junior. Back when his channel was pretty new. And I remember looking at it and saying, well, like, this isn't done all professional like some of these other. This is a guy at his house, just talking about things. And, it's obvious that he's not exactly an expert on all this stuff, but he has good knowledge of it, and he speaks clearly, and an audience likes it. And that was kind of the thing that pushed me to do it. So, and that's why, like, with AJ, and me and him get along so well now and stuff. I talk to AJ all the time in the background, and that's kind of how I got here, is because I was like, look, this he had stuff he wanted to talk about. It felt that way, and he went for it and did it, and he's built a good channel, and people love it. And he was always doing a lot of funny stuff about Kent Hovind and stuff, and it just made me think, hey, if he can do that, I can set up a camera and talk to people. I can do that. And I know enough about science and these things to debunk a lot of the ideas that people put out there about evolution and the history of the earth and stuff. And so kind of the same story for me too. And I imagine a lot of people, but I think it's awesome that whenever you see, even if it had nothing to do with me, somebody making the decision that, like, I feel strongly enough about this that I want to use my voice to put it out there, and if people watch it, they do, and if they don't, whatever. But for me, like, building the whole thing of building the community as I went is like it's very close to me and important to me, because it's like these people have at one time or another made some sort of connection with the things I'm saying and doing and whatever. And I just think that's really cool. And where I live, I don't have other atheists and like-minded people to talk to. So this very much became my social life very quickly. And I love it, honestly. I mean, just like anybody else, I have ups and downs and hard times and good times. And, there's been times I remember off my Kenneth Copeland Scum of the Earth video got like 20,000 views, or it got like 18,000 views. and I picked up like 600 subscribers off that video.
Wow.
And it just it's whenever you do that, and it'll happen, but it's just you get this feeling of like, okay, finally I feel a little bit of justification that what I'm doing is right, and it's working and stuff. I don't pretend to be a pro at this or even good at it. I just come on here and talk and hope it works. Hope it does something for somebody else.
And it's fun to do for. I do it. It's good therapy to be able to talk. And sometimes I'll just come in without a topic and I'll just sit down and talk about something that's been pissing me off, and or something that's been on my mind. But also, just like you said, to know that there's people who have been through this and are of like mind. And someone said, I think Randy said, it's 40 years ago since he realized he was a non-believer. And someone else said something similar in the chat too. But just to know that you aren't alone, especially in somewhere in a rural area like Kentucky. I got my videos up, and I've had more than one person. Well, I've heard more than one person has said about me, because my channel has been exposed locally, and people who know me and who've known me for years are talking about it. And they said, I didn't know he was an atheist. And I said,
yeah.
So what does it matter? I'm still me. Have I ever bothered you about it? Have I preached the gospel of atheism to you? No, nothing's changed. I'm still the same amazing, wonderful person I was before, and it shouldn't matter to you, because we're the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's funny how, because, well, I think theists have a hard problem fathoming, coming to grips with the fact that, because everything they do is in some way tied to their religion and their beliefs in God, and maybe not directly in every moment, but in some way it's all tied into it. Whereas when you're an atheist, it's not. It's like I don't do things based on the fact that I don't believe in something. It's a very it just makes you feel free, like whenever you realize it, and you're just like, you can look at things in an honest, open way, and skepticism is just an amazing thing once you learn how to remain skeptical, when people are making extraordinary claims and stuff. It gives you, I don't know, it just you would think that it's a negative thing to find out how small you are in the universe. You're a speck of dust on a speck of dust, but it's not. I stand in awe of it every day. Kentucky, I think the people suck a lot, but when I walk outside and see how beautiful everything is, and look at the night sky out in the country where it's dark and you can see it real good, and look at the just how nature works and things around me, it's not depressing like you would think it is. It's not a nihilistic view. I look at it in awe, and I'm amazed, and I love it. I love to understand how those things work, and it gives me curiosity and drives me to make the world a better place going forward, and just all those things. And theists have such a hard problem understanding how that even works, because they can't even fathom that they're wrong.
No. And you were talking before about this, something that struck me. You were talking before about reading a book while you were in prison, jail. I don't know which one, but you thought that there's all these other world religions out there, and how do we know which one's right? I remember I was in seminary training to be a pastor, and I was taking a course on Islam, and that was the first time I really had the serious thought about, oh my gosh, there's a whole nother world religion out there that has almost as many people in it as Christianity does. And then my next thought was, how can they believe all these weird things? And then my next thought was, our weird things seem just as weird to them as ours do to us. And then my next thought was, oh my gosh, I better not be thinking this because God can read my mind.
Yes.
So, and I have a video on my channel about how seminary made me an atheist. And seminary was where those doubts started coming in, because I remember the first class I took was on biblical interpretation, on hermeneutics and how to interpret the Bible. And that class was so important to me because they were like, this is how you properly interpret the Bible. And so I learned how to properly interpret every single passage and do it right, depending on what the book is, and how to make it sound right and do all these correct things. And when I got done with the class, all I could think was, if everyone knows how to properly interpret the Bible, then why are there over 30,000 Christian denominations?
Yeah.
Why do we not agree? And seminary was the place where my downfall really started. It still took 20 more years. But
and that's the thing is, you're expected to look at the Bible and its teachings and things as it is, or how you're taught anyway. But if you actually take a critical look at pretty much any of it, it just starts to fall apart. I mean, completely fall apart. Not even like maybe, but it's just like there's no way that's just it's not an incredulity thing. It's just like an impossibility thing. And I agree with you, because it's like I look at. I'm trying to think of an example. I think it was the Vikings believed that the world was created like as part of Odin's body. I think the rivers came from his armpits as like sweat or something, and different parts of his body form different parts of the earth, and the earth is Odin essentially. Yeah. And I'm sorry if I get that wrong, anybody in the chat, but
anybody who that with Odin, we're sorry.
Yeah. Sorry if I offended you. But you look at that and you say, well, how crazy, right? But then whenever you think, you put yourself in their shoes, and they believe that's true. And from their shoes, it's like, oh, they told a story of these people are made of clay, and somebody blew on them and they came to life. And then they could do anything except for eat this tree. And what do you think they did? And it's like, that's just a silly story. A snake talked to them, talking donkeys, like that shit's silly. It's the same thing. And then, but when you step back and you be a true skeptic and you weigh those things and you're like, which one's true? And you get to the point and you're like, you know what? I don't think either one of these is true. And at least there's no reason to think they are. And you start being critical of it, and it just you can't believe it. I don't know how atheists, especially atheist activists, convert back to Christianity, because I mean, anything short of God actually revealing himself to me, in a physical way in the physical world, would probably not convince me. And I don't know how they become convinced, especially when they've been able to stand outside of it and see the absurdity of it all and stuff, because I would never be able to just overlook that and say, well, I believe, so I don't know. It's a weird thing. Long story short, I probably won't be a Christian tomorrow. But so we've got a big debate coming up tonight.
Something that. Yes.
Go ahead and talk about what you were going to. Sorry, I think we got a delay.
Something I was thinking. Well, we'll come to the debate in a second, but something one of the things that doing videos does makes me think. I think one of the things I wish had happened when I was, I guess, 6 or 7, and when my parents sat me down and they said, "Hey, there's no Santa, there's no Easter Bunny, there's no Tooth Fairy." I wish they had said, "Hey, by the way, all this religion stuff, it's kind of messed up too. So you might want to make up your own mind about that, because it's just as ridiculous as the Santa Claus stuff too." I wish they had done that, but because looking back on it, it's all fairy tale-ish, and it had bothered me from the beginning. And I just threw something in there. I saw Star Song, her comment about recovery programs. The one that worked for me was Reframe. It's an app you can get on your phone, Android or iPhone, and I strongly recommend it. Also, the secular, I think Randy said, secular sobriety is also, I leave links on those on most of my YouTube videos. The secular project, or secular sobriety project, I think is one as well. But if you are a atheist and you are looking for help, a lot of times the courts will say you need to go to Celebrate Recovery or you need to go to AA. Well, those are religiously based, and they are not any help at all. If you are an atheist, or if you don't, even if you just don't believe, or if you're not looking for a higher power kind of centered thing, and in the courts ask for an alternative, and those two have been presented as alternatives in most places, I believe. So,
yeah. No, what I was going to say is that, I agree. As an atheist, AA is kind of a complicated thing to do. There are secular branches of AA, but I mean, it was designed to work with Christianity, so it still doesn't really. I don't think those make any more sense. But what I would say is, whatever program for you that works is the right one for you. I mean, that's so. While I don't care much for how AA does things, and I think if you apply an evidence-based care view to it, I think that AA is a complete failure. But at the same time, there have been people that have been helped by it, and there are people that find a lot of value in that, and that works for them, and great. I wouldn't. It's kind of like the religion thing. I feel the same. I wouldn't necessarily say get rid of it. I do think that they need to kind of update some of the Bible thumping parts of it. But I think that here's the thing: belief in God and living a life, a biblical Christian life or whatever. I think if you're trying to go through recovery, that's just adding something to it that complicates things more. Because then it's hard enough when you're going through recovery to live up to your own expectations rather than, and when you add trying to live up to the expectations of an organized religion on top of that, I feel like it's a recipe for disaster. And but again, I will say that it works for some people, and great, the but if Ray gave you Reframe there, but Star Song, if you want to get a hold of me and get some more sources and resources and stuff, I'm sure me and Ray both could point you to lots of things that you could, even if it's not groups, just things you could look at and think about and whatever. So definitely, if you need any kind of help at all, I'm always available. You can reach out to me anytime. In fact, if you're struggling with drugs and stuff and you need somebody to talk to, you get a hold of me. I'll give you my personal phone number and I'll talk to you anytime. Randy says, fuck everybody else's expectations. That's true, Randy. But, right. That's true when you get to it, but it's hard to get to the point to where you realize that, but.
Now you were mentioning, I was listening to a bunch of atheist experience call-in clips today, and I don't know if this is going to make sense, but I'm going to try. But a lot of the callers got to the point they were talking about slavery, or they were talking about God killing a bunch of people, and when they finally got to the talking at the end of the call, the person would basically say, God can do whatever God wants to do because he's God.
Right.
And I used to believe the same way.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any crossover, Joe, between that and the way people justify Trump? That Trump's God's ordained person on earth, and so, and look at who he is. He's the president, and the president can do whatever he wants to do just because he's Trump. And a lot of these people are religious, so they're already programmed to think this way, that God can do what he wants to do. So they're already programmed to think that way, so maybe it carries over a little bit.
Well, I think that, first of all, the simple answer is yes. I do think there's a connection, a correlation between those two. And I've talked about this a couple times, but I think that whenever you've seen candidate Trump first running for president, you've seen that he had his spiritual advisors and things, and got Kenneth Copeland, and all these big televangelists were part of it. And I think that he, you know, as big as a dumbass as I think Trump is whenever it comes to policy and the running of the country, um, I don't I don't doubt his ability to be deceptive and to do horrible things. And I think they preyed on people that were believers and things. Trump has spent a lot of time in his campaigning talking to Christians. If you're a Christian, you have to vote for a Republican, and to the point to where now you have Christians going around on Twitter and everywhere else saying, if you vote for a Democrat, you're not a Christian. And so I think that they have adopted some of that, but I also think that there's a consequence part of this where Trump purposely appealed to the people who felt like, to, well, he purposely appealed to uneducated people, right?
Mm-hmm.
His platform was specifically designed to bring those people that wouldn't normally vote and weren't involved in the political system, to get them to vote for somebody who wasn't part of the establishment, who wasn't like all these other politicians that they see as not normal people, right? And so I think that education has a lot to do with it too, as and I hate to sit and say that Trump voters are stupid or something like that, and that's really not what I'm getting at, but some of them are, of course. I mean, we've seen it, but that goes on both sides. I mean, but I think that there was I think it was even part of the plan to play it the same way televangelists do. They looked at the methods and stuff, and then they just changed the words. And whenever people go around calling Trump the Messiah and all that stuff, and they mean it, whenever they say that he's a savior and things like that, a decent person would tell people not to do that. They would be like, no, look, I'm not that. I'm glad that you love me that much, and I want to make your life better and all those things, but I'm not a religious idol and all those things. Yet Trump doesn't do that. He embraces it. He even encourages it. So I definitely do think there's a lot of tie over there.
Yeah, there's a YouTube video, and the YouTube video is called "The Mass Psychology of Trumpism," and it's from New Lines magazine. And their point was, it's a really good video. I encourage you to watch it. But their point was that he's not human. In fact, he has presented himself to be something other than human. He's almost like a superhero, or an ideal of almost like Greek mythology, where he does have mistakes. He does make mistakes, but then at the same time, he says, I've never made a mistake in my life. And he's not a person, he's an ideal. And he's something that people are pushing for. And he's that guy that people saw on TV for so long, and they idolize him, and they think he's going to beat the establishment, and he's going to do something completely different. They want him because he's not a politician. And, that he's this depraved narcissist, in fact, who's actually, all he wants is whatever's best for him. So I think he probably saw at whatever it is, the Christian National Group, the fundraising group, the meeting they have in Nashville every year, and he basically told them, I don't want you, I just want your votes. So
he says it out loud. He told that church here not too long ago, you guys need to go vote for me, and just do it this last time. You won't have to vote anymore after this.
Yeah.
He says it out loud, and they don't, they either don't care, or they say, oh, that's just how Trump talks. He doesn't really mean those things, but then he does those things. And it's very similar to like when we look at the Bible. when you're a Christian, you look at the Bible and you can interpret things in different ways, right? You can look at it and say, well, this really is talking about this and that, and but when you're an atheist, it's hard to do that because you don't believe any of those things are true. So it's hard to not take a literal look at the Bible and see what it says literally. And again, I think that's one of the things that's very similar between Trump and other politicians for that matter, but Trump and religion, because it's like the people that think Trump is great, they have no problem saying, well, that's just how he talks and stuff. It's just a hyperbole and all that.
Yeah.
But for the people who don't support Trump, they take him at his word. He said that must be what he means.
Yeah.
And I think that actually has proven itself to be the better way to view Trump. But again, I think it's similar to religion in a lot of ways. Now, I don't know if what I said about them actually stealing it from religion is the case, or if it's just that trying to push a false narrative either way, in an attempt to control people, looks the same in both cases. But and with Trump and especially with the Christians that support him, I really don't get it. I mean, he's been convicted of sexual assault. He's been convicted of fraud. He's filed bankruptcy over and over. He's lied about his taxes. He stole national defense documents and handed them out to other countries. He, just over and over and over, he tried to overthrow the government. He's promoted violence. He's promoted racism. He's promoted xenophobia. He lied about COVID. I mean, we could just keep going and going and going, right? And I just don't understand how they look over all these things, and especially then say, this guy's the Messiah.
Yeah, but if you can justify slavery and genocide in the Bible, then
Sure.
it wouldn't be too far of a reach to justify Donald J. Trump. So, you're not doing a whole lot of critical thinking if you're in that boat. So,
yeah, it's
I did see where Albert Mohler, the president of Southern Seminary, finally had a problem with Donald Trump, because when he first ran, Albert Mohler said, "I will never vote for that man." And then 2 weeks later, he was like, "Okay, I think we should all vote for him because he's the best candidate." And it was obvious he was going to win. Well, this week he wrote an article saying that he was backing off his representation for Trump because of his views on IVF. So that was the line. I mean, that's the line you have to draw it at there, Al Mohler. I mean, was because he wants to endorse IVF treatments for women. I mean, it didn't have anything to do with any of the other corrupt stuff he did. It had to do with IVF. So I guess that was the line that they drew. Way to go.
This is not correct, Cool Cat. He was found liable for not just the defamation, but it was made the court made it a matter of fact that he did commit sexual assault. It's on the record. Now, although he wasn't convicted of sexual assault because it was a civil trial, it is a fact that he committed sexual assault under the eye of the law anyway. So just saying. Defamation is what Trump was charged with, but in the defamation, in order for it to be defamation, they had to find out if it was a fact that he actually did the things that he was saying she was lying about. So in the process, it had to be a matter of fact that he did it for it to be defamation. And they presented evidence and testimony, and a jury decided that he did those things beyond a reasonable doubt, and so it is a fact that he committed sexual assault. But you're right; it's not right for me to say he was convicted of sexual assault, because that's not what he was convicted of.
Not yet.
Yeah, you're right on that part, Cool Cat. I agree. That doesn't make it any better, in my opinion, though. I mean, like, all that does is mean he sexually assaulted someone and then defamed them. So, I mean, like, we can say it that way if you like. I don't think it gets better. But yeah, no, thanks for correcting me. I appreciate you. I appreciate the correction always. So what do you think is going to happen in this debate?
I think it's going to be interesting. I think I was listening to some political radio like I always do, and Kamala, her handlers seem like they're holding her back a lot. And I don't know if that's good for her or bad for her, but I think if she just is herself, I think she's going to be fine. And if they just let Trump be himself, I think that'll be even better. But
Yeah.
if she
Well,
gets out there and gets nervous, I'm a little worried about it.
that like people like Lindsey Graham have came out and said, Trump needs to not engage in personal attacks. He needs to stick to policy and all that. But the problem with that is Trump doesn't have any policies. I mean, there's the border and there's a lot of hateful things that he has as policy to where he, discriminates against brown people from all over the world. But he wants tariffs, which are horrible, especially the way he wants to do it. But he doesn't really have any real policy for anything that matters. We tried to fix the border, and he told him not to do it, and so he's still going to try and campaign on that, though. But because he's an idiot. But when they say Trump, there's no way in the world he can do it, though. He cannot stay on subject, and if Trump was to go into this debate and not engage in the ad hominem and the personal attacks and the racism and everything he does, the misogynistic views and all that, if he was to go into this debate and not do those things, it would probably be bad for Democrats, honestly. I mean, but he can't do it.
No, I don't think he can. And I think the thing they're saying now is the best thing that can happen for Democrats, because it keeps the swing states keep going back and forth, is high voter turnout. And so what she needs is stay on point, stay focused, don't get her points out there, but not with, and don't get too like drawn out with specifics, but make it simple for everybody and say, this is what I'm going to do. And I would love to see her get under his skin.
Oh yeah.
Find
She's
a way.
A prosecutor. She might.
Yeah.
If she brings her prosecutor game, it might get nasty, because she was an excellent prosecutor.
She's great in it too.
Yeah,
Those judges and the judge confirmation.
Oh yeah, that was C-SPAN got exciting for a couple of days, didn't it?
Yeah. It did.
Cool Cat says when Trump first got in, he was attacked for all number of reasons, such as being racist or bigoted and a bunch of stuff. My frustration was that it deflected from valid criticism. I would say that whenever Trump first got into office and he refused to denounce white supremacists and things like that, I think that is a valid criticism at that point. When he said that a bunch of, Nazis that took place down in the Carolinas there, that there's good people on both sides. I think there is some valid criticism to what he's doing there. Now, that being said, if we're going to assess Trump, if we're going to leave out all of the things that are his personality and who he is, and just talk about the professional end of it, in that case, Trump had the worst numbers of any president in history. And so it doesn't get any better if we view it that way. So I don't know. I think a lot of those criticisms were valid because things like racism and xenophobia are real issues that we have in America today. And so if he's taking a side on racism other than it's bad, I think it is a valid criticism. This is the personality and the morality of the person that runs our country is, he's the leader of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. I think those things are important, right out of the gate, they had to stop giving Trump, they had to stop telling him about the intelligence stuff because he was having Russians in the Oval Office and telling them classified information. And that's a fact. It happened. So I don't know. There's loads of stuff he should have been called out for and wasn't. Much of what it said was context, misquotes, and accuracy. I don't care about party politics, only the truth. Oh, okay, sure. I don't think that helps him any, though. I think it gets worse when you go that direction for him. It just like we said with religion, when you take a critical look at it, it falls apart.
One of the quotes I heard on that YouTube video, I referenced, the guy says at the beginning, he says, if Trump wins this election, we may have to re-examine what kind of nation we really are. Because the entire time during the election, you know, we keep saying this, he doesn't represent the kind of country we are. But if he does get reelected, you know, we may have to say, this is who we are. This is the kind of country we really are.
Yeah. And Star Song here. I do not want to be legislated out of existence. If MAGA wins, they will make it illegal for me to even breathe. That's, and you know, again, whenever you say like people are pointing to these things and not talking about the actual his views on policy, again, that's the case though. Is that this is, it's a danger, a real danger to humans, to people, and so I think that I don't know. I think that some of those things are important. You got to bounce. Thanks for reading my stuff. Yeah, no, thanks for coming, Cool Cat. Come talk to us anytime. I do a political show once a week on Wednesday and Thursday, alternating. Come join us and talk. You can even come join us one day on stage and talk if you want. I see Wesley Curry has showed up. Yay. Wesley, I think I recently unblocked you on my channel too. So, but you're not getting a good start at behaving here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Cool Cat. I love talking about these things, and you know, we can disagree and not hate each other. That's the big point I want to put forward. We can talk about things and not agree about it and stuff, and we can you know, we can move forward rather than getting in this fight and hating each other and you know, having all the everybody at everybody's throats across America like we see today. Are you getting your Omnibar on Untoward? What? Wesley, that's crazy talk.
Do you think, Joe, you're out there online talking to people more than I am. Do you think there's honest discourse going on between Republicans and Democrats? Or do you think it's mostly just people staying in their own circles talking about what's wrong with the other side?
I think it's mostly rhetoric. I think that, and I think Democrats are guilty of this to some extent too, but not as bad. And I think Democrats actually have policies and things that they want to put forward to make the lives of the average American better. Whereas the Republican Party has gotten involved in culture war and is just worried about making a good clip for Twitter or Facebook or whatever, being on TV, and it's not about representing the Americans they were hired to represent, elected to represent. It's about owning the libs. You know, it's they just want to take shots, and it's always rhetoric. And you know, they've done nothing about the gun violence in the United States, yet they talk about it all the time. They don't actually do anything. They just make clips that'll be shown on TV. And we've went from, because of social media and how everybody's always connected to everybody else, we've gotten to this point to where rather than campaigning the last like 6 months before election day, it's a 365 days a year campaign, and they're always campaigning. They're never actually working or doing anything. So I think our government has become pretty useless, honestly. I think that they don't get anything done, and other than getting people stirred up and angry at each other over things that, again, they don't plan on fixing. They just want, you know, like Donald Trump, a perfect example, the border thing. That bill was going to give Republicans everything they've wanted on the border for years. I mean, it was a very conservative bill. I couldn't even believe Democrats voted for that. But Donald Trump didn't want that bill to pass because then he wouldn't have it to bitch about while campaigning. So that tells you there that the objective isn't to fix anything. The objective is to remain in power by keeping people emotionally stirred up.
Yep.
That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, and I think the life that they have in Washington is out of touch with every normal voter's life, and hopefully he has to answer for that. Hopefully with the questioners tonight, he's already said that he hates ABC and everything to do with ABC, but I hope whoever's the moderator tonight asked him about the border bill and why he got it killed.
Yeah. Does Wesley Curry visit your channel often?
I don't do live, so.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see.
Yeah. I've stayed out of live so far, so only horror story.
You never know what's going to happen sometimes. We had the other day, I was letting people, for every $1 they put in a super chat was another minute we timed out. Blessed be he. And I ended up getting like $40 in super chats in that stream. But yeah, you never know what's going to happen live. But you know, the only reason I like doing live stuff, I mean, I actually my passion would be to do animated stuff, kind of like D.S. Lewis or Dark Matter 2525. But I'm not very good at it, so I don't. That would actually be what I would prefer. I would have some like redneck cartoon character that would be me. And, you know, I would go and talk to Christians on Twitter Spaces and everything else, and then just take the audio and make an animated thing out of it. That would be what I would want to do. But again, I don't have the talent to do it. In fact, I had to hire Jess just to make my thumbnails and stuff and intros and all that. I give Jess 50% of whatever the channel makes because she does all my artwork and intros and everything else, and does a really great job. That intro that I played 3 times before you came on that's one of my favorites. But she's made a lot of really awesome stuff.
It is.
I love it. But this is one she made. Check this out. It's real short, so. Yeah, and I just love the work she does, and she helps me, and also, you know, she's someone there for me to bounce ideas off of, and like that Mark Alsip guy that came on, she's the one that found him and said, hey, she forwarded his email to me, and I was like, yeah, I want to talk to him, and but you know, whenever I said I wanted to change it to like the Kentucky Skeptics Society, part of the reasoning for that is that I've met so many skeptics and atheists across Kentucky that I really want to shine a light on that, and I want that to be I want to bring in other people from Kentucky and have them address the pseudoscience and a lot of the things that go on, because according to like Pew Research stats, the supernatural beliefs of those in Kentucky are much higher than they are across the country, and by like 8 points. So, you know, I think there's something there. I mean, I want to cover other stuff too, but anybody that knows me knows that, you know, things to do with Kentucky are something that's close to me. I mean, we got this thing in the background right there.
Nice.
You know,
I was listening to Russell Moore broadcast the other day. Christian, used to be head of the Ethics and Religious Liberties Commission, and he had a guy on that said that the nuns, people who have no belief whatsoever, now outrank in percentage-wise Southern Baptists.
Yeah.
So, and it's not the only growing denomination is non-denominationals.
Do you have any moderators on your channel?
No, I haven't said anything.
Just suggest, and I see that PC is messaging, Pragmatic Crystal is messaging from your channel. You know, I would suggest at least making someone a moderator. Just, it doesn't, if you don't do
well, I mirrored this one too.
Yeah, but I mean, nobody. She doesn't have. She's good at it too. She'll take care of you. But whenever people start doing that with all the proselytizing and the stuff, it's better to let a moderator time them out or something. Some of that is can be triggering and offensive to. Oh well, there you go. Uh, just yeah, but yeah, it's been a desire of mine to do that. And like I said, also I wanted to get into talking about some of those stories and stuff. And I feel like not that there isn't a huge atheist audience for me to reach, but having the name Kentucky Atheist in my channel name kind of limits me to what I can do, where people are going to find me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If they're looking for atheist content, sure, they'll come across it. But if I want to talk about some other pseudoscience thing to do with, you know, electromagnetism or flat earth or whatever, you know, like anything I want to cover that's pseudoscience, I want people to know that it's a skeptic view, not just an atheist view. But so yeah, I'm kind of thinking about doing that. Plus it lets me like change my memberships to come join the Kentucky Skeptic Society, you know, like that. And it's, I don't know. I just think it's the next step for the channel. It's what I need to do because as much as I am interested in just talking to people and having these kind of conversations and stuff, I really do want to see how successful I can be at this. Like, it's also a challenge for me, you know. And I'm sure you can understand with being addicted and stuff. And sorry, I just got a message popped up on the screen. London Storm just sent me a message and it popped up and said, I guess I'm a goddamn libertarian. And it just caught me funny. But I just I don't know. I want to expand and do more. And as you know, you've dealt with addiction, like after all those things, being able to do something and feel like you're good at it and that you're making a difference in doing those things, like it's not that it's all that's important to me or anything. It's just something that would make me happy to feel like I'm good at something. So yeah, I didn't expect that at all. Just I got a DM from him that said that, and I was like, what? London's funny as hell. He's London was actually, when he lived in Kentucky, he lived in Louisa, which is like 20 minutes down the road from where I live. And he now lives in Europe. But yeah, I keep in stuff. Hopefully he gets his electronics situated and he can get back to doing his content and stuff. I messaged him the other day and asked if I could help in any way. Hell, I would have bought him a computer part or whatever, which is crazy because, like, well, I ain't even going to get into it, but I'm in no position to be buying anybody anything. And I was going to do it anyway, just to try and help because, you know, those things matter. And London's good at what he does. I've got my shirt on backwards and inside out. How about that?
It's a long day of work you had, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that until just now. But whatever. Anyway, I guess we can head in the direction of kind of wrapping things up here, if you want. So what if you, for somebody new coming to your channel, watching it for the first time, you know, what would you like them to take away from you know, the message you're trying to put out there? Sorry, if this is a hard question.
No, not at all. That's not hard at all. No.
Okay.
My username says it all. It's Sober Without God, and I started it to talk about my alcohol-free journey, but it's expanded to talk about my journey into deconstruction. And I've got videos. I got 3 videos a week, and talk about being alcohol-free on Mondays, and then on Thursdays I talk about deconstruction. And coming up pretty soon, I got a whole box of Jack Chick tracks that I'm gonna go through. I'm pretty excited about that because I love talking about tracks. Let me tell you. And then on Saturdays, I just do a book review. Right now, I'm doing some pretty shallow fiction books, but those are just for fun and just so I can reach out to people. But I just like getting on screen and being human and talking about things that affect people, whether you're alcohol free or whether you're not alcohol free, or whether you're going through learning about being an atheist, and or whether you're just a person looking for some little bit of fun. So I try to have a little bit of fun on my channel.
Yeah, I would say because I do so much live stuff, I try to provide a safe space for like-minded people to come and talk about the issues that are most important to them without feeling like they're being singled out or discriminated against. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I fail at that, but you know, that's what I try for. But yeah, good answer. So on that same kind of thing, what do you if you could do anything with your channel right now, make it anything you wanted, put as much into it as you wanted, or do anything, would you change it and do something different, or would you you know, what would you do with it if you could have it any way you wanted?
If I could have it any way I wanted, if I had any graphic design ability, I'd probably have a header, some at the beginning, just a quick flash up on the screen, and I'd probably have a way I could look at things a little easier on the screen when I'm showing them like a chick track, and probably have a few more graphics. But I'm just happy I got my camera upgraded right now, and I upgraded my memory, so I was pretty happy about that too. So
yeah, your video quality is really good. I mean, it looks really good. The I would take my show on the road is what I would do. I would
really,
go. I don't even have a car though, but I would get in the car and I would go. I would go to the places. Some of these. Some of the most vocal believers are, and talk to them about what they do and why and things like that.
just put a microphone in your face and
Yeah, I would get my camera and microphone, and I would take it on the road and go to where people are all across Kentucky. I
well,
would
hell,
stay
you
in
know what?
Kentucky.
Yeah, and you see all these Christians, that'd be fun. I'd go with you because, you see all these Christians going on college campuses and talking to people. I would love to see an atheist going onto a college campus because, you'd probably get a warmer reception than the Christians would.
Oh yeah, I think so. On a college campus, it would be accepted well. But yeah, I would like to go talk to people across the state and stuff, and show that even though Kentucky is known as this very religious red state, that there's a lot of people in this state that are very passionate about their feelings. Otherwise, I think that would be awesome and a lot of fun. And but yeah, I would go talk to people where they're at, and I would love to do that. That would be like my goal. I can't. I've been trying for like 6 months to set up my office and haven't made it very far on that. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But as we go forward, if it keeps growing, I will do that. That will be something I do, even if it's just like I spend a summer going across Kentucky talking to people. Like that will be something that I do eventually.
Heck, we
That's one
just
of my goals.
do a one-off. We'll meet in the middle somewhere and do it.
Well, I could probably make that part of it is go across Kentucky and sleep on the couches of other atheists while I'm doing it,
Yeah.
to save some money, and go and meet other Kentucky atheists, and go to their towns and look at things there, and go around and do it, like rather than just have people come on camera, go actually meet those people and go to the places and experience the environment that they live in, and show it to everybody else. I think that would be amazing.
I have some Amish out here too, so
Oh yeah.
I know how you love the Amish.
Oh boy. So let me tell you a quick story. When I was a kid, my parents owned a produce warehouse, and it was in Huntington, West Virginia, but we lived in Kentucky. My dad drove the big semi box truck, and would go pick up produce and bring it back to the warehouse, and then we distribute to all these restaurants, and we were the main distributor for Piggly Wiggly and all that stuff. But I used to ride with my dad when he would go pick up produce, and we would go to Casey County, Kentucky. And Casey County, Kentucky is kind of famous for its Amish and Mennonite population. It's down right on the border of Tennessee. And so at an early age, I was exposed to Mennonites and the way they live and stuff like that. And I think the neatest thing I've seen is when I was a kid, seeing one of them big draft horses. The just huge horse. I mean, like, they make regular horses look like poodles. Like their legs are taller than the other horse, like complete, like the whole horse. They're huge. Their hooves are like this big around. I mean, it's crazy. But and then also where I live now, I've got in Ohio, because I live right on the border. There's a ton of Amish people in Ohio, and then to the south, once you get past the rednecks, there's a bunch of Amish people down there too. And so yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
Tonight's courting night, so they've been all up and down the road all night.
Yeah. Oh, is it courting night?
Courting night.
Yeah. I met some really good people among the Amish and stuff, but some
stories.
I just to me it has. I mean, there is a lot of harmful things going on in some Amish communities. I mean, we're aware of that, and I think shunning is just a disgusting habit. But at the same time, like, the Amish aren't as harmful as a lot of other religious things are, but they're very culty. There's like this, and it's extreme culty. Like, but at the same time, like, when you take out the negative things that aren't really supposed to be part of it, the Amish are all about community and coming together and helping each other. And if one of them has medical bills, the church pays it. And if somebody's in the Amish community wants to start a business, the Amish community comes together and helps them do it. Like, it's they're very much about community, and I love that about it. Like, I think that if Americans in general would slow down for a minute and reflect on that, we could learn something from them. But again, very culty. I don't like the whole thing, but there are good parts about it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't shit on them completely.
Yeah.
But get the fuck off the road with the horse and buggy, though. Jesus
Please,
Christ. When you go out and you're like, hey, it's a 15-minute drive, and it ends up being an hour and a half. Like,
I gotta get to work. I have 15 minutes to get to work, and I get behind two Amish buggies, or two horses pulling a hay bales that are a lane and a half wide. Break.
Yeah. It's so yeah. I mean, there's ups and downs to it, but the Amish are interesting, to say the least.
Got great vegetables, though. I gotta give them that.
Yeah, no, the produce that's why we went to them, is because that was some of the best produce you can get in the country. I mean, and for the most part, it's all organic, and it's all it's the family generally is the one that, it's not a big company that does it. You've got a family that owns a shit ton of land, and the kids and everybody are out there farming it and working it. And they had like so the horses did all the work and stuff. They did the ones, not all Amish are equal, right? Some of them have electricity and stuff and are okay with it. Usually it's like phones and internet and stuff that they frown on a lot. TV, they don't do it all. But the ones that we dealt with, they didn't have any electricity and stuff, but they had a gas powered like conveyor thing for loading trucks.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, the horses did it all. Like they plowed the fields and hauled the stuff and everything. The horses did the work. And so it was neat. And then seeing the kids like speak whatever language it is that they speak, Dutch, Amish, whatever, like, it's it varies where you go. If you go up north, it's more Dutch. In the South, it's I don't know what it is. It's I don't know, kind of like talking in tongues a little bit, but
Southern Dutch.
yeah, but interesting, but at the same time, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the getting done here. So what have you got coming up here soon? What are you working on?
I'm working on some tips for breaking the cycle um, for alcohol use, just getting out of it all together. And then I'm excited about going through my all my tracks that I got in the mail, and still doing some just silly book reviews. Well, not really silly, but they're just out of for books that were written a while back, and they were just bad fiction. So,
Hmm.
but just I usually have a theme that for that week, that same kind of theme for religion and sobriety.
Oh.
Um,
Well,
and
you're doing better than me because I'm all over the place. I'll talk about creationism on a Sunday, and then on Monday we'll talk about some random thing or something, the economy, and then on Thursday we'll talk politics, and like it's a little bit of everywhere for me. But I'm starting to kind of zero in. Um, I've been so focused on like talking about the same old shit that atheists talk about a lot, like the
yep,
claims of creationists. And I still do that because there are people that benefit from that and stuff. But I think what I left out and where I've made a mistake is I needed to make it more personal. I needed to make it more about me. Um, I don't want to sit and talk about drugs all the time, but like the reason that people are intrigued by a channel called the Kentucky Atheist is because of the experiences that I've had living in Eastern Kentucky as an atheist. So I'm going to try and start to tie more of that into it, and quit worrying about being right, I guess. I mean, I don't need to. If I bring and especially for the audience I have, if I brought a creationist on right now and talked about why we know a flood didn't happen, I imagine everybody in this audience already knows all those points, right? Like,
hmm
I mean, they know it. They've heard it 1,000 times and whatever. And there may be somebody that hits a chord with and helps, and that's why I still do want to do some of that stuff. But at the same time, I think I need to make it a little more how it relates to me and things,
hmm
in order to really get more people, especially ones that have the same experiences that we do.
yeah,
Being in a place where you're surrounded by religious people and not really knowing what you can and can't say or do and all that. So I've been thinking about that and wanting to tie that back into it. What's up, Brentley? Good to see you. You made it right at the end. I've been wanting to get a hold of you, Brentley, and have you come on and talk to me again, actually. But well, I'll send you a message, Brentley. But so everybody can find Ray on his channel, Sober Without God. It's linked in the title and in the description, and I'm sure that PC has put it in the chat numerous times. But and it's on the screen right there under Ray's face. Sober Without God, that's his channel, and go over there and check it out. I mean, if you like some of the stuff I talk about and things, I think you'd like Ray's channel too. He does a better job with some parts of it than I do. I ramble a lot and have no plan going into this and do everything live, and you you kind of prepare and, like you said, have a theme and work on what you're going to talk about, and you're a good speaker and you have a lot of good experiences that people can learn from and stuff, and especially um, you've dealt with addiction and you've been so far as going through seminary and everything else. So I think you have a lot to give to the community. So please go like and subscribe over at Ray's channel.
Well, I appreciate you, Joe. You're a light in the darkness for a lot of people. I know a lot of you were for me, and I know a lot of people come to you, find your channel because they're looking for content and they're looking for support and they're looking for some kind of hope. I know a lot of people are glad you're out there. I know a lot of people may not find a way to the comment section to tell you that, but you're hearing it from me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Ray, like while it makes me incredibly happy that you've seen the things I do, and it inspired you to do stuff. But at the same time, like, you would think I kind of get some kind of I don't know, big head out of that or something, like that I'm influencing or an influencer or something like that. But really, it just means a lot to me that you think of me that way, and I really hope that is if I make any other person in the audience feel the way that you feel about what I do, then it makes me really happy that people are taking something away from it, because that's what I set out to do, is to show people that you can use your voice even if you're not an expert or a professional, or you don't have to have the most traumatic story ever, but at the same time, like, you can talk about these things just as yourself, and make a difference for people out there, because while there are a lot of intellectuals and people that have a lot to offer in that arena among atheist channels, sometimes people just want someone they can relate to, and someone that they find they have things in common with, and can talk to like a normal person. um, when I have Matt Dillahunty on, and I'm not hating on Matt at all here, but like, having Matt on was like, it was all business, like,
Yeah.
and I love Matt to death, and I'm so glad that we have Matt as a figure in our community. But sometimes, it's good to just talk to people, and be able to relate on a very normal, fundamental level. And I feel like you and I do that a lot, and that's really why I wanted to have you back on and just see how things are going. And to be honest with you, where you're at in subs right now and stuff, um, I'm not the YouTube guru by any means, but it sounds to me like, and it looks like, you're doing really well. I mean, you're progressing pretty good. I had times where I was hitting these plateaus,
Hmm.
and it was just so discouraging. I would think, well, that's it. That's all.
That's it. It's over.
That's as good as it's going to get. It's either going to stay right there or shrink, and then something would happen and it would grow more and stuff. And so if I had any advice for you, it would be just don't get discouraged. Keep your head up and keep doing what you're doing, because you're making a difference, right? You're doing a good thing, and I appreciate it personally. So,
Thanks. It means a lot to me.
You got anything else to say?
That's it. I appreciate you having me on anytime.
Yeah, I'll be back Thursday with Miss Robin for our politicality show, where I imagine we're gonna talk a lot about tonight's debate. I probably won't do a full breakdown of it or anything, but we'll look at some of the highlights, and talk about what happened and what kind of dumpster fire it turned out to be. And yeah, Ember says it's all plateaus. And let me also, while I'm here, give a special shout out to Ember, because Ember has been a big help in me doing what I do. And Ember's been there to give me encouragement, and lead me in the right way of um, you know what apps and technology, and everything I could ever ask for. Ember's been a huge help, and not to mention the character of Ember, going through what she's gone through publicly, and doing it out there for the world to see and stuff. It takes a lot of courage, and you're another great person in the community that has done amazing things, Ember. And I hope you keep up the amazing stuff that you do. And speaking of which, go check out Ember, and another great friend of the channel, Stephanie Helms, and Bree and Carly over on the Transpositions. Just an excellent channel. Even if you aren't really into stuff to do with trans topics and stuff, I think you would still find it very interesting, because they cover a lot of news things that you may not know about, and they have on their Discord a lot of sources for factual information and stuff that you can find, and I think they're just doing wonderful stuff over there, and I love to see these channels that are not only doing great as far as numbers, but doing things that can really make a difference in the world and make it better for all people, not just one group. And so thanks to everybody for coming. Thanks especially to Ray for coming and talking to me. And I appreciate every one of you. Have a great night. And don't get overly upset with the debate tonight. We'll talk about it later. Okay, guys? Have a great night. Bye.